Hi everyone, thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Sonia Siddiqui, and joining us today is the team at RBC. We've got Jeff, Nazin, Ria, Dr. Rajesh, and we've got Kushbu as well. Hi everyone. Will I get a nice wave? Thank you. So this is our very first webinar of the year. And I'm really excited to have such a great team on here. It's going to be super interactive. Everyone's going to be, we have a panel. They're going to be asking and answering questions. And then towards the end, they will answer your questions as well. So before we get started, just want everyone to understand that you are all on listen only mode. So we won't be able to hear you, but we will take your questions towards the end. And for that, I'd like you to type your questions into the Q&A tab so we can take your questions and answer them. If your questions are directed to a specific panelist or speaker, you can please do add their name so we can ask them directly. And for best results, please use a laptop or a desktop computer using Google Chrome as your browser. And your feedback is always greatly appreciated. So after the webinar ends, you'll be led to a survey page. So please do fill out the survey at the end. And all our webinars are always recorded, and you will get a recording sometime tomorrow. And if you missed that, this webinar will be uploaded at the end of the month on our YouTube channel and on our website as well. And just to let you know a little bit about ACCES, we've been around for over 30 years helping job seekers such as yourselves. In the past year alone, we were able to serve over 34,000 job seekers. We work with over 2,200 employers, community partners, sponsors such as RBC. We host 2 webinars with RBC a month. We do several programs with RBC, and Ria will probably tell you a little bit more about her involvement with our ACCES as well. We have over 30 tailored programs, which include our sector-specific bridging programs as well. We've got 7 locations in the GTA, which includes our Markham location, which is in partnership with RBC. And all of our locations are closed, but we are serving everyone online. So if you'd like to get assistance with your job search, please call one of your closest ACCES locations and someone can start helping you with your job search. And I'll tell you more about it after the presentation. I'm going to hand it over to Jeff. So I'm going to stop sharing.
Unmute myself. Awesome. Thank you
Jeff,
very
so
much.
You can share your screen.
Thank you very much, Sonia, for the introduction. All right. Naz or Ria, I just got a thumbs up. You guys can see it? Beautiful.
Yep.
All right. So let us get started. Want to just start by saying thank you to everybody for attending today. Really appreciate you joining us for this session on newcomer wellness. We're going to talk a lot about some experiences from recent newcomers and industry experts who are going to share their journey and their tips for success as you transition to life in Canada. For our agenda for today, we've had Sonia give us an opening from ACCES, so thank you. I'm going to do a bit of an introduction about RBC and our team and what we do at RBC Meeting Place. And then we're going to go into just a discussion between Nazanin and Dr. Ragbir. And then we're going to listen to a conversation from Ria and Kushbu, who very recently came to Canada. So I'm really interested in hearing about her story. I've heard a little bit about it from Ria, but I'm like really excited to hear about it from her directly. And then we're going to open up some Q&A and from you guys. And if you have any questions, put them in the chat and we'd be happy to answer them. And it can be for any of the panelists or the participants on today's call. So feel free to put whatever you have in there and then we will wrap up. We'll be done by 12 o'clock. So to tell you a little bit about us, so what I'm going to talk about is RBC and the RBC Meeting Place. So at RBC, one of the things that we value above everything else is putting our clients and our community first. We always want to earn the opportunity to be our client's first choice. And we put the needs of our clients and our community above our own interests to make sure that we're building lasting relationships. We collaborate across different partnerships, ACCES being one of them, to be able to help newcomers like yourselves to get settled in Canada. ACCES helps with employment. We help with a lot of other things that have nothing to do and are beyond banking. And we take ownership over the fact that we really want to help our clients thrive and our communities prosper. We embrace diversity for innovation and growth. We are big at speaking up for inclusion and holding ourselves to the highest standards so that we can build trust with everybody that we come in contact with. But it's not just RBC. So what we do specifically at the meeting place is we have a place where we can come together. So our particular location is jointly cohabitated, I can't talk, my apologies, with ACCES Employment in Markham, Ontario. There are a few meeting places all over the country, and if you would like to get in touch with one that is close to you, we have ones in Brampton, Ontario, Vancouver, BC, Edmonton, Alberta, and there's going to be a couple of new ones that are coming up soon. So anything that you have that you want to get acclimatized to a local one, we'd be happy to make an introduction for you. Well, who works at this place? Well, our core team is myself. I'm a RBC Community Branch Manager. I manage another location as well. And then we have physically on site in normal times is Nazanin and Ria. So they're assistant branch manager and banking advisor. We cannot do all of the events that we do without them. We do over 100 events a year with specifically geared towards newcomers. And it's without the wonderful work of these two ladies, we could not accomplish what we do every year. So thank you guys, and you guys are very fortunate to have them on the call today. But it's not just them. So in addition to them, we have an entire team behind us that help us to support all of our newcomers and make sure that we are going back to our values, working and collaborating together to support the connection and network of our newcomer community. Over the last 2 years, we have engaged in significant community events and engagements. Here's some examples of when we could see people in person, which was definitely more fun than virtual. But virtual is the reality now with COVID. And so what we are doing is we are still trying to find ways to have winning partnerships with our communities. We do webinars on an extremely regular basis. A lot of them are with ACCES Employment, who's been a phenomenal partner for us over the last many, many years. With that, what I'd like to do now is let's get into the meat of the presentation. So our first conversation is going to be between Nazanin and Dr. Ragbir. So a little bit about our panelist, our expert panelist, Dr. Ragbir today. He's a naturopathic doctor who immigrated to Canada in 1992 after completing a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from the University of the West Indies. He's had a 14-year career as a naturopathic doctor working with people with a variety of health issues in Scarborough and in Markham. He's a part-time faculty at the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine since 2008, working with students in all years of the program as a TA, teacher's assistant, and as clinical supervisor to fourth-year interns. His practice philosophy is our nature is such that we have an innate ability to heal, so treat the whole person to improve our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And he's very passionate about personal growth and transformation and uses stress and physical ailments as gateways to facilitate more fulfilled and self-actualized life. I'm excited to hear this conversation, so I will pass it over to Nazanin and Dr. Ragbir. Thank you guys for joining us today. Over to you guys.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for the warm introduction and introducing RBC and RBC Markham Meeting Place. So good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. As Jeff just mentioned my name is Nazanin, and I'm the Assistant Branch Manager at RBC Markham Meeting Place. So I've been with RBC for almost 9 years, and I graduated from Ryerson University. And so I came to Canada in 2008. I was newcomer myself, and I truly believe in newcomers helping newcomers. So, and after completing my master's degree in finance, so I joined RBC RBC in 2011 as a part-time client advisor and recently joined RBC Markham Meeting Place as an assistant branch manager. Okay, so let's get started. Our first panel discussion today. But before I get started, I would like to pass it over to Dr. Ragbir to say a quick hello.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ragbir. I really appreciate you spending your precious time today with us today. And so in the first part of our panel discussion, Dr. Ragbir is going to talk about his personal experience and the different aspect related to newcomer well-being, especially during the first initial, the first year after landing. So Dr. Ragbir, we would love to hear from you. So please share a little bit about your personal experience and your challenges, not only as a naturopathic doctor, but also as a newcomer yourself. So like, what was your mood over the first 12, 18 months, and what was the challenges you went through? And I know you have so much to offer, so can't wait to hear from you.
Well, thank you so much, Naz. I'd like to start by thanking the RBC and ACCES teams, specifically Jeff, Naz, and Ria of RBC and Sonia of ACCES for allowing me this opportunity to speak this morning. I hope the newcomers find it helpful in some way. And Naz, I think my newcomer experience was similar to a lot of people. When I came here, I just finished my degree in Trinidad, where I'm from. I had very limited work experience when I came here. I worked basically in our family business back home, just doing some deliveries and sales. And so when I came here, I wasn't too keen to go back to that. I wanted to get something in my line of work, something that was in the line of my degree, which, as Jeff mentioned, was in chemistry. And back in 1992, things were kind of not very good in the job market. And on top of that, everyone kept asking for Canadian experience. And I kept thinking to myself, well, how am I going to get Canadian experience if no one will hire me? And so, that was a little bit of despairing moments for me, sending out tons of resumes and applications, and a lot of times not even getting, any response, never mind an interview. And so I realized that I had to rescale my expectations. So I eventually decided that I was going to work for a temp agency. So I remember doing the graveyard shift once or twice in a factory. And, it was grueling work, just to stay awake overnight and do the work. The work itself wasn't hard, but just that. And so another time I had a job as a courier working on the subway. So I was armed with a pager and a MetroPass. And this was the days, before cell phones. So I was, running around the city like Superman looking for phone booths to call every time I got paged. And the times were so rough back then that, sometimes at the end of the month, I barely had money to pay for the MetroPass. But I was lucky that I came here with my family. So I had support from them, and that kept me going through, those rough times. And eventually, I did find a full-time job working downtown, excuse me, in the records department, doing filing. Now, it wasn't a very glamorous job. It wasn't in line with what I wanted. But finally, I was starting to pay some bills. I could afford to do some things. But I kept an eye out for, what I really wanted. And eventually, after a couple of years of doing that, my brother, who is an electrical engineer, he decided he wanted to start his own business. So together we started a business in our two-bedroom apartment. And he had a laptop, I had a desktop computer. And so with that, we decided we were going to take on the world. And eventually the company became quite successful, but within the first year, we almost went bankrupt. So, I mean, again, the ups and downs and the rescaling of expectations, it's almost like, it was a constant thing in the early days for me. So I worked with him for a few years, maybe about 7 or 8 years actually, and then eventually I decided I wanted to do something that really was close to my heart, which was, naturopathic medicine. And so I enrolled in school, and then that journey continued. So, and here I am now, doing what I really love and enjoy doing. As far as my mood in those early days, looking back, I knew that I was a little bit. I could see I had moments of low mood. I came here, I had no friends, I had no social network. The country was new, the job market was daunting. The weather itself was different. I came from a tropical island, and here I am facing winter. Short days, long nights. There were days when I wouldn't even go outside, which was a new thing for me. So I could tell that, there were times when I experienced some mild depression. And so, and I also found that that was common for quite a few people who, who came to Canada, regardless of success. I spoke to, people who had business and who were doing well. And they too were saying, that they found that, there were times when they were sad, felt, kind of unfulfilled, despite, having the job or the career that, they wanted, etc. So really no one is immune to this. And this has been my message for so long, is that paying attention to mood is a very important thing. I also, when I first came, because I knew no one, my outlet was sports. I took on. I had my Metro Pass, and I would just go everywhere, no matter what. 7 days a week, I would play. I would go and find cricket, soccer, table tennis. Those were the three sports that I knew about. And I even went to the temple. I wasn't super religious, but it was just an opportunity to find people and things that were familiar to me, that that I could do, that would kind of help me to feel settled and not as alone. So those were some of the things that I did, Naz.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Dr. Ragbir. So thank you for sharing your personal experience. So the way actually you paint your journey from the first day till now was very encouraging. And I guess most of our newcomers are passing through the same stage that you have passed. So lots of challenges, lots of ups and downs. So your words actually made me go back to the time when I came to Canada in 2008. And I totally agree with you. There are lots of ups and downs and lots of challenges. But as you just said, so just try to stay active and do your social networking. So Canada is actually, we have people here very diversified and very patient and very supportive. We support our newcomers to Canada in a very useful way. And so, Dr. Ragbir, looking back on your own personal and professional experiences, what would your advice be to a newcomer coming to Canada? We all know that starting over in a new country can be very challenging, very exhausting, as you might constantly miss your life, your community back home, you're coming from maybe a different country, and so adjusting to local weather conditions, figuring out the food, medication. So they're all challenging. So how would you approach newcomers' mental, physical, and spiritual wellness? If you can let us know that how they can face and cope the stress to move forward and have a kind of stress-free transition to the new home in Canada.
Right. And thank you for asking that, Naz. As this is my whole bread and butter now, is how to help people so to cope with such things. So as Jeff and Naz and myself mentioned, as a naturopathic doctor, we treat the whole person. We don't merely pay attention to symptoms. We are involved in looking at who we're treating and what's going on with them. So because of that, we look at all the different aspects of someone. We look at their physical aspects, their emotional, their mental, and even their spiritual health. So my best advice for you as newcomers would be to build your career and everything else around your health. Remember, your number one asset, despite what anyone will tell you, your number one asset is your health. Without your health, you've basically stalled, you've stopped. And I meet lots of people every day who, because of health concerns, they can't work, they can't do many things. So paying attention to your health is really important. And as far as health goes, the basics, it doesn't have to be complicated. The basic things: get adequate rest, get adequate exercise, get adequate nutrition. And just to give a personal anecdote, like yesterday, all day I had a headache, and I realized that I was probably dehydrated. And I was looking at the veins at the back of my hand, and I realized that I couldn't see them; they were low, and that's usually not the case. So I just kept drinking water, and as the day went on, my headache started to get better just from drinking some water. So, just paying attention to your body, paying attention to the basic things. And then some of the things that I mentioned that I did when I first came here, find whatever is your outlet. The good thing about being in Toronto and the GTA is that, and I think in a lot of places in Canada actually, is that you can find almost every culture represented in some way. You can find your food, you can find your language, you can find your religion, you can find, different cultural events. Everything seems to be celebrated here. So, find your niche, reach out to people. And, through table tennis, I found cricket. Through table tennis, I found soccer. So, one thing led to the other. So you never know where that lead is going to come from. Sometimes, you're looking for a job or you're looking for some, connection. And it's through some social event, some random social event that you find, a contact or you make that important breakthrough. So it's really important for your mental health, for your, your physical well-being as well, to stay connected and to reach out. One of the worst things is to suffer in silence and isolation. So, before it gets bad, stay connected, reach out to people, and it's great that you have the ACCES and the RBC folks here because, as they said, they're always willing to be there to support you and, to even just to chat with you, to see how your progress is going and so forth. So, those would be my best advice to summarize would be to kind of keep it simple, pay attention to the basics, pay attention to your body and your health, what it's telling you. So that would be my best advice for now, Naz.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rugby. Couldn't be agree more. And so as you just mentioned, so stress and anxiety can make it hard to focus on the right food choice or exercise or sleep. So it's really important to think about it. And as you just mentioned, so Canada is a very diversified country and you can find anything here. So I would like to also quickly share one of my personal experience. Like, that when you are planning for your immigration, so you think about some essential things or like products in your life that you think that you cannot replace it, right? But like for me, one of those essential products was a shampoo that I used to use it for a long time in Iran. So I loaded my bag with I guess more than 10 or 12 bottles. But when I arrived in Canada, my aunt actually took me to the Persian supermarket and I was shocked because they had the exact brand of shampoo there. And I found my childhood snacks and candy there. So here in Canada, we're so lucky. We have a very diversified country and you can find things here. So in your community stores, and so you don't really have to change your diet, or you still can continue having your traditional food. And as Dr. Ragbir just mentioned, it's really important to keep your networking and do some social activities. So perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Ragbir. So and Jeff, I'm just passing it over to you for the next session.
Awesome. Thank you guys very, very, very much. Dr. Ragbir, amazing. Naz, some great stories as well. And I know you guys have both had some challenges when you first came to Canada, and it's amazing to see success that both of you guys have had. And I think it goes to the points that stood out for me there. Your number one asset is your health. 100%, I agree with you. I think that is something, that's a great takeaway. and focusing on your health and your wellness as a holistic approach. It's not just one area. You know, it is physical, emotional, spiritual. As a bank, I'm going to say financial as well. But you know, I think all of those things are extremely important, but no one is more important or less important than the other. I think, you know, that holistic approach is what it is. And I really love how both of you guys were able to find outlets that, you know, reminded you of familiarity, where you found people and things that you knew before, you know, whether it's shampoo or sports or, you know, whatever it is. I think those are great ways to help acclimatize, and talking to people, other people that have shared experiences to learn, you know, what made them successful in their transition. I think these are fantastic points, and I want to thank you both for your presentation today. With that, we're going to move on to the next section of our event. Is going to be a conversation between Ria Ragbeer, the banking advisor at the RBC meeting place. She's going to tell a little bit about herself in a minute. But first, I'm going to talk a little bit about Khushbu. Khushbu, I am so excited to have you here because you are so recently a newcomer to Canada that I think it's even more relevant, especially as you've gone through things like quarantining, you know, as part of coming. So Khushbu graduated from the University of Reading, which is in the UK, with a master's in science and investment management. She spent 10 years in the financial services industry in Oman. Immigrated to Canada in October of 2020 and started working with RBC in November of 2020. So we're also a RBC employee. So somebody that's come, got a job fairly quickly. She's currently a customer service rep at Direct Investing and is working towards her licensing requirements for the Canadian Securities Courts in Canada and the industry. So Ria, I'm going to pass over to you. Tell us a little bit about, introduce yourself, and then I can't wait for this conversation.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Hello, everyone, and welcome, and good morning as well. My name is Ria Ragbeer. I am a banking advisor at the RBC meeting place, and I arrived in Canada in 2008. But to be honest, 12 going on 13 years later, I still learn something new every day, and it allows me to have a deeper love for Canada every time. You know, I really enjoyed banking as I worked in banking throughout university. I graduated from the University of South Florida with my bachelor's in management and management information systems. And, you know, with RBC, you know, our purpose is to help communities prosper. And it really aligns with my passion of giving back to the community in any way I can. And so I really enjoy volunteering and fundraising at the different organizations. As a BA at the RBC meeting place, I really get to be present in the community and work with the wonderful community partners like ACCESS today to provide the advice that really goes beyond banking. And I'm so pleased to have Khushbu because I've worked with her since October. So I'm really excited for her to share her journey with you guys. So Khushbu, thank you so much for being here. And, you know, having met you in September while you were in Oman, I was really quite impressed with your determination and how organized you were. And you're such a planner, and you executed everything that we planned and discussed. And I really wanted you to share your journey and to inspire, you know, the newcomers on this call and newcomers who might be starting their journey soon. And, you know, we are at different stages in our lives, and whoever is starting their journey might be in a different stage than you and I are right now. And the experiences will be very different from when you first moved. So, you know, I do recall when I moved 12 years ago, I was a newlywed in 2008. And well, naturally, I was on top of the world. I was in love. And I felt I was able to handle every and anything that came my way, especially all the exciting challenges that I would have in a new country and starting my life here. But Khushbu, you arrived in Canada with your family. So I really wanted you to share how your experience was starting in Canada with your family. And if you can just share how or why your family chose Canada, that would be great.
Sure, Ria. So good day, everyone. And thank you, Ria. Thank you, ACCESS, for having me here today so that I can share my story with everybody. Thank you, Jeff, for that amazing introduction that you made. And yeah, I'm quite excited to share my story as well. So Ria, I met Ria again through one of these webinars. So I have been in touch with Ria since a few months now. And to begin with, why our family chose Canada. So I've lived in Mumbai. I'm from India. I've lived in the UK for a couple of years while I studied there. And then I lived in Oman for 10 years, and that is a long time. So, you know, all these countries are beautiful countries, all peace-loving, amazing places. But you know, we started as a family looking at our long-term career options and opportunities and, you know, just the brighter future of the family as a whole. So even for our child's education for that matter and financial independence and freedom, Canada was very attractive. And most importantly, Canada is pro-immigration. So, you know, there is an opportunity to immigrate to Canada with all the rights and benefits as permanent residents. That was very important for us. And and there are plenty of resources and support which is available for new immigrants in Canada. That was also a very important consideration and criteria when we chose Canada. And that's how we made the choice. So the times are tough. It's always going to be a struggle when you're new to a country, but there is a lot of support and resources and help available in Canada. Canada supports new immigrants, and that is a very important factor for us to move here.
Thank you so much, Kushbu. I completely agree. Canada is pro-immigration, and you know, which is why RBC we also have recognized that, and we've developed the RBC meeting places all across the country. So thank you for pointing that out. Would you be able to share how you prepared for Canada? Like, I'm really excited to find out what you researched first for this big move.
Yeah, so a lot of the plan and a lot of the following, execution of the plan came well researched, honestly. So very different from 1992, Dr. Ragbir. So, you know, he was talking about a time without cell phones. And I'm sure, you know, it was very difficult for that matter to even connect with anybody online. So I'd say that, during this time, we are very, very fortunate that although COVID struck and, you know, things changed, but, you know, the good part about all this was that there was so much time on my hands before I actually moved here during the lockdown that I went all in and, you know, I was like mentally, I'm in Canada. So if you talk about Canadian experience, for example, when I did a lot of online research and things like looking at the map, so I know which place is where, even when I've not ever been in Canada before. So I knew exactly the neighborhoods, you know, the TTC, a lot of things. So that helped a lot. So if I'm doing interviews, if I'm, you know, trying to connect with people and talk to them, they really cannot believe that I'm yet to move to Canada. So I'd say use your time. And I did a lot of research on those lines. So I am trying to catch up you know, without having real Canadian experience and doing all that I can. So a lot of online research. Then again, making connections. So when we moved here, we had no friends, no family. And I still tried to, you know, make whatever connections I could in terms of friends, friends of friends, friends of family. And even if I did not have something in common with them or not from the same field, I could still ask them about schools and weather and neighborhoods, housing, you know, a lot of things. And as Dr. Rajesh also mentioned, one thing could lead to another, and one connection, you don't know, may help you a few months down the line in a way that you never expected. So I made a lot of connections, and sometimes I had a calendar too. So I know I make it a point to speak to at least 3 different people every week. So that's how I did a lot of research. And lastly, most importantly, was building a professional network, which I did through LinkedIn. And as I mentioned before, that there are resources that you can make use of. I did a research on whatever settlement organizations are available in Canada. I chose ACCES Employment and I stuck with it. Through ACCES, I got to know of RBC Meeting Place and attended all of the webinars over like 3 months and 4 months, even in the middle of the night. If I had to wake up and attend a webinar, I was doing that. Yes, honestly, I was doing that. And that is how I built a professional network here in Canada.
Khushbu, I say this over and over. I'm so impressed with everything that you've done to be so successful in Canada. And it's only been a matter of a couple months, or a few months actually. And I know that you used to wake up to listen to these webinars for this employment. And it's such a great story that you were part of these webinars and you listened in, just as people are listening in today. But now today you're one of our proud guest speakers on the webinar today. So I'm really, really happy to have you here. And from what you've said is that research has been your key to success. And I think that's one of the major takeaways here today is that, you know, you were so diligent and so organized with your research, and every time you came to me you had specific questions, and which was very, very impressive. So I would like to move on. While planning for your move, you know, it's such an overwhelming experience, but how did you feel about the move? Just a matter of feelings. How can you describe how you felt when you initially had to move and you decided?
Yes, definitely. I completely agree with you know, the stories that have been shared earlier. There was a lot of fear, there was a lot of anxiety, and different people deal with it in very different ways. So I moved here as a family with me and my husband and our daughter. So we are still two very different individuals, and you know, feelings like stress and anxiety and fear can, you know, have a lot of frustration. So while I was having sleepless nights, honestly, my husband just slept so comfortably, like, you know, as if there's nothing to worry about. So, so you know, different people just take things differently. But if I have to talk about my feelings, I definitely had sleepless nights, and that is why all the planning and the organization, because I wanted to feel comfortable in the fact that, you know, I've done my homework and I'm on the right track. I'm doing the right things. And in terms of outlet, yes, as Dr. Rajesh mentioned, I was never a spiritual person, honestly, but you know, when I had to deal with things, somehow that's what I turned to as well. So yeah, just it's very important to find something that can give you mental peace, because that is something that you will need in abundance for this big move.
Of course, yes, I completely agree. So it sounds like you've had, you know, I know personally that you've had great successes, you know, first off joining RBC while you were in quarantine and, you know, getting that job offer. And I think you mentioned to me that you actually had 2 offers, and I'm so happy that you chose RBC. But can you share some of your challenges and some of the successes you've had so far?
Yes, definitely, Ria. So challenges, apart from all the emotional and personal challenges, what I want to, you know, really highlight here in terms of the move and in terms of being able to, you know, get your dream job or even something that just makes you happy. There were a couple of very, you know, professional challenges, I'd say, that I faced. One was networking. So as I was, you know, listening in on all the webinars, and I'm sure anyone that I was talking to also stressed on the importance of networking. But networking was something that just did not come to me naturally, honestly. So I had to put in an effort and make an effort and, you know, learn to ask the right questions and approach people in the right way and leave them a short note. So there are so many different things that these webinars or anyone who's guiding you for that matter can, you know, help you with. And that's how I got better on it. And the other challenge that I faced was interview skills. So while I was doing all my research and networking and applying to jobs, I did have small successes. And even in Oman, before I moved here, I had interviews from the big banks. But then I realized that, these were not getting converted to offers. So there's something that I needed to improve on and change. And again, it was the network and the relationships that I had built professionally that helped me get through it. So it was interview skills or role play skills or the soft skills, that are very important, maybe that I was lacking. And I could work on those with the help of, feedback from these people, feedback from interviewers. And so these were two important challenges, which I say you can work on and, get over with.
Yes, I agree. Networking is key, and LinkedIn, it's the professional networking that everyone uses, and I know you're such an advocate for it as well. And and I'm glad that you touched on reaching out the right way, because LinkedIn can be used incorrectly in the sense that people use it as just to connect, and just like a Facebook or Instagram where you're just requesting someone. But that personal touch, what you have mentioned, is where you add that short note of why you want to connect with this person. What's that benefit that networking connection is going to have for you and that other person? So I'm glad you mentioned that. So thank you. I also am eager to learn how you learned about RBC Meeting Place.
Yeah, so during one of the ACCES webinars, I was on the other side attending an ACCES webinar with RBC Meeting Place, and so through this platform is when I learned about RBC Meeting Place, and I did not hesitate, went forward, got in touch with RBC Meeting Place, and Ria was my connection there. She got back to me, and it was a very helpful connection.
Thank you. So we want to really get to the question and answers piece. And I know from being on the past webinars, we've had many good questions. So I'll actually hand it over to Jeff, where he would finish up, and then we'll go to the questions and answers.
Amazing. Thank you, Ria. Thank you, Khushbu. Before I just make some, my observations there, I just want to encourage everybody to put some questions in either the chat or the Q&A. We would love to hear the questions for any of the panelists, whether it's Dr. Ragbir, Ria, Nazanin, Khushbu, whoever you want to hear from. And there's one question there, so I will get to that. But just while I'm wrapping up, if you guys have any questions, put them in there. We'll get to those. Great story. I got to say, when we were putting this together and we were talking about who would we want to come on here, and share success, Ria was adamant that it had to be Khushbu. So I can't tell you enough. So thank you, Khushbu, for making time for this in your schedule. You mentioned a lot of the challenges that you went through. And I think it's extremely important to hear from somebody that's gone through them. It helps to let people know what to expect. What are the challenges that they're going to face? What can they do to, overcome them? You and Dr. Ragbir have definitely given us some good examples of challenges and how to overcome them. You guys are both amazing success stories, I got to say. And specifically, I loved the preparation. That's something I always view as a key to success. If you're prepared, you're more likely to be successful. Searching for all those resources that are available to newcomers. There are a lot of them out there. Leverage them. ACCES is amazing for helping with things like, helping for employment services. We'd be happy to help. There's so many other, options that are available. Leverage the technology we have today. I actually really love that you started all the preparation and the research and everything before you ever came to Canada. And I think that probably helped lead to a lot of your success. It wasn't something that when you got here, you started. It was something that you were doing long before. And I think, both your points about Canada's a very supportive place for newcomers. And yeah, it's what makes us different is what makes us stronger as a country. And I think that is something for me that I value that I'm proud of as a Canadian, that we are so inclusive and that we want people to come here and better themselves and better our country to get there. So the last thing that I got was the importance of networking and developing your own skills and capabilities. It ties into the question. So there's a question in the box where it says, I'm a new immigrant to Canada looking for an opportunity. It says specifically for RBC, but I'm going to be a little bit more general here and say, those are some of the challenges. So what can you do in order to apply? Networking is important. Building the skills and capabilities, getting feedback from people in Canada about what you're doing well and what you need to work on. I think, honest feedback is one of the best things that you can get, because then maybe you're not getting an interview because the resume needs to be updated or it needs to be changed, tweaked a little bit for the way that Canadian human resource companies look at how they go through them. That's where you can leverage resources like Access Employment. You can leverage resources like the RBC Meeting Place as a second pair of eyes, or various other ones that organizations are out there. But those are things that can definitely help you. Maybe I'll ask who wants to jump in on the next question. But how can I get Canadian experience if I've never worked in Canada? Does anybody want to take that question?
Sure, I can actually take a start, and then maybe someone else can jump in and add. So Canadian experience doesn't necessarily have to be the work experience. There's also volunteering experience as well. So you can seek out organizations that will actually enhance, say something as, say you want to go into retail, and you can actually, go to an organization and be like a greeter or work their front desk. So those are like the volunteering experience that you can add to your resume. As far as the Canadian experience too, I've met many newcomers that, they've had, their PhD, and they have all their different designations back home. And then, when I chat with them, say, for example, at Dollarama, they're just starting off somewhere because they want to get that Canadian experience. So sometimes it does take a newcomer stepping down a little bit just to get forward. So that's something that I've seen through and throughout, being at the RBC Meeting Place and, coming in contact with a lot of newcomers.
Exactly, Ria. I couldn't agree more. And I would like to also add it because we get this question a lot, like, do we really need Canadian experience, especially for the banking, like the bank role, like a branch roles, like client advisor, banking advisor. So I can confidently saying that you really don't need to have a Canadian experience because so we are looking for people that have passion for helping people and helping clients, helping community. So, and that's one of our biggest focus, but certainly if you have experience, that's a value, but especially in the banking industry. So you really do not have to have a Canadian experience. But we all know that always getting the first job in Canada is a difficult part. But once you get your foot into the door, so after that is much easy. But again, as just Jeff mentioned, so if you would like to know more about like the RBC hiring process for the banking role, like a branch role, so you can definitely contact Ria or myself, so we can help you regarding that, and we can go through the RBC hiring process as well.
Amazing, thank you. Another question here is around, somebody's planning to move to Canada in April, that's a CFA charter holder, and want to understand how the job market is in Toronto specifically, pertaining to finance jobs, and can you suggest any courses that to upskill themselves? I'll start with saying, if you're looking at specific, actually, I'm going to tie this in with another question, sorry, where, is there designated portals for banking professionals or finance professionals so that networking would be easy? I actually think these are similar. Networking is going to be the biggest factor here, as, Kushbu had mentioned. I think, if you really focus on expanding a network and getting a network in Canada, one of the ways you can do that is through app services like LinkedIn is a very common one here in Canada, but it's also leveraging the resources of places like Access Employment, RBC Meeting Place, things like that, to help build out that network. But it doesn't happen overnight. It starts with one introduction, one call. You know, we're very committed to try to help people out. We can't obviously offer jobs for every single person that comes to Canada, but we want to help you along the journey and adjusting and making sure that you can be in a successful place when it's done. Does anybody want to add on to that answer?
I think you're right on the money on that one, Jeff. So thank you. We do have a couple more questions. Someone's asking if they can get our email or our phone number. On our very next slide at the very end, we'll share our contact information for that. So thank you, Teddy, for asking.
There's also a question around, can we find volunteering jobs? Plenty of places definitely have opportunities for volunteering. Typically, you know, you're not going to find as many of those in different spots, but, you know, network, get out there, find out where they are. Again, go through, you know, organizations like ACCES are going to be great for helping you get acquainted with the local community. Find people that are local. You know, if you're looking for something in Toronto, try to get in touch with people in Toronto. If you're looking for something in you know, Vancouver, Montreal, Edmonton, Calgary, wherever you end up going, leverage local resources. I think those are always going to be your best because they're going to have the best impact in terms of expanding your network. So with that, I think we're starting to get near the end. I don't see any other questions that have come in. So what we'll do is we're going to go to the next component, which is thank you guys for your time. So what we've got here is the contact information for myself, Nazanin, and Ria. If you would like to learn more, or if there's questions that you have that are specific to your specific personal situation, reach out. We'd be happy to have those conversations. Nazanin and Ria are the primary contacts there. Yeah, and if you know, if Khushbu and Dr. Ragbi are okay with it, we will help with facilitating introductions to you guys as well. If people want to get in touch with you guys, you know, contact Ria or Nazanin, and we'll be happy to make those introductions. But, you know, really, I want to thank you guys for your time today. We spent a lot of time talking about, you know, wellness, what to expect, what the experiences were like for you know, similar but also very different journeys, given the different times. We didn't have the technology way back in the day, which is kind of like, you don't even think about that now. You kind of just think about, you know, we're lucky we have things like phones and apps and access to the resources that we have today that, you know, Dr. Ragbi would have had when he came here. You know, challenging for sure. So thank you guys for that. Ria or Naz, anything, or Dr. Ragbi or Khushbu, if you guys would like to say thank you, anything you want to add as we wrap up?
Yeah, sure. So thank you once again for having us here, for having me here today. And, you know, I wish all the best of luck to everyone who's attending, everyone who's planning their move to Canada or is new to Canada. And as you mentioned, newcomers, helping newcomers, I would be more than happy and willing to, you know, probably share some more of my story or, you know, lessons that I learned. I would be happy to pass them on over LinkedIn, or if anyone wants to get in touch through the meeting place, I'd be more than happy to help.
Thank you, Khushbu. Thank you for volunteering to do that. And it is, you know, the newcomer meeting place. That's our motto, actually, is newcomers helping newcomers. So thank you for that plug. You know, and it is true that we're here. Our ACCES Employment is here just to provide that support that, you know, everyone might need. You know, that helping hand to hold your hand along the process. Because to be quite honest, yes, like I mentioned, I was a newlywed and I was on top of the world, but it was scary at the same time. So, you know, we're always here to hold your hand throughout that process. So connect with us on LinkedIn, like we said, and if you need to reach Khushbu or Dr. Ragbi, you can connect with us as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ria. So I'm just not going to repeat what you just say, but I just wanted to say a quick thank you to Khushbu and Dr. Ragbir. Thank you so much for taking your precious time out of your busy schedule. And thank you both, Ria and Jeff. We couldn't do this without your support. And of course, Sonia, for this great and amazing partnership with RBC. And thank you all for joining us.
Awesome.